Reading through the Bible in 1 year, March 12th, Exodus 23, John chapter 2, Job 41, and 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's go through some more laws. You shall not bear a false report. Do not join your hand with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not follow the masses in doing evil. I think I need to re-say that. You shall not follow the masses in doing evil, nor shall you testify in a dispute so as to turn aside after a multitude in order to pervert justice. Nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his dispute. What? If there's a guy who's homeless or poor, shouldn't we, try to help them? No, tell the truth. Only tell the truth. That's how this works. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey wandering away, you shall return it to him, even if he's your enemy. Even if he likes the other political party you don't like, still help him out. If you see the donkey of the one who hates you lying helpless under its load, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall surely release it with him. You shall not pervert the justice due to your needy brother in his dispute. Keep far from a false charge, and do not kill the innocent or the righteous, for I will not acquit the guilty. You shall not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of the just. You shall not oppress a stranger, since you yourselves know the feelings of a stranger, for you also were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall sow your land for 6 years and gather in its yield, but on the 7th year you shall allow it to rest and lie fallow, so that the needy of your people may eat, and whatever they leave, the beasts of the field may eat. You are to do the same with your vineyard and with your olive grove. Yeah, that basically never happened. That's why God came in and for 70 years stopped them from living in the land, because the land had not had any of its Sabbaths during that time. "6 days you are to do your work, but on the 7th day you shall cease from labor, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and the son of your female slave, as well as your stranger, and may refresh themselves. Now, concerning everything which I have told you, be on your guard, and do not mention the name of other gods, nor let them be heard from your mouth." Literally, we're not even supposed to talk about other gods. Don't focus on it. That's not anything we're supposed to be focused on. Instead, if we're focused on worshiping God, then that's where all of our attention will be spent. 3 times a year you shall celebrate a feast to me. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days you are to eat the unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month Abib. For in it you came out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall also observe the feast of the harvest of the first fruits of your labors, from what you sow in the field. Also the feast of the ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in the fruit of your labors from the field. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the Lord your God. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor is the fat of my feast to remain overnight until the morning. You shall bring the choice first fruits from your soil into the house of the Lord your God. You are not to boil a young goat in the milk of its mother. Behold, I am going to send an angel before you to guard you along the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Be on your guard before him and obey his voice, and do not be rebellious toward him, for he will not pardon your transgression, since my name is in him. But if you truly obey his voice and do what I say, then I will be an enemy to your enemies, and an adversary to your adversaries. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will completely destroy them. You shall not worship their gods, nor serve them, nor do according to their deeds, but you shall utterly overthrow them and break their sacred pillars in pieces. But you shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water, and I will remove sickness from your midst. There shall be no one miscarrying or barren in your land, and I will fulfill the number of your days. I will send my terror ahead of you, and throw into confusion all the people among whom you come, and I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. I will send hornets ahead of you, so that they will drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites before you. I will not drive them out before you in a single year, that the land may not become desolate, and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. I will drive them out for you little by little, until you become fruitful and take possession of the whole land. I will fix your boundary from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river Euphrates, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you will drive them out before you. You will make no covenant with them or their gods. Remember this, it's important. And they shall not live in your land, because they will make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. Again, remember all of that. That's super important because it comes up later. That's how it do. All right, there we go. And let's go on to John chapter 2. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there, and both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does that have to do with us? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he says to you, just do it." Now there were 6 stone water pots set there for the Jewish custom of purification. This is the washing, right? Containing 20 or 30 gallons each. And Jesus said to them, "Fill the water pots with water." So they filled them to the brim. And he said to them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it to him. When the head waiter tasted the water, which had become wine, he did not know where it had come from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew. And the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Every man serves the good wine first, and when the people have drunk freely, right, when they're blasted, then he serves the poorer wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This beginning of his signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went to Capernaum, he and his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and stayed there for a few days. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found at the temple those who were selling oxen and sheep and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. And he made a scourge of cords, and drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And those who were selling the doves, he said, "Take these things away. Stop making my Father's house a place of business." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign do you show us as your authority for doing these things?" And Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Then the Jews said, "Hold on, it took 56 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was talking about the temple of his body. So when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word which Jesus had spoken. Now, when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, during the feast, many believed in his name, observing his signs which he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, was not entrusting himself to them. Why? For he knew all men. because he did not need anyone to testify concerning man, for he himself knew what was in man. Sin. It's sin. Sin's in man. Okay, I'm just going through the notes here and make sure you have access to all of them. All right, there we go. And let's go on to Job chapter 41. God continues, "Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose, or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many supplications to you? Or will he speak to you with soft words because he's afraid of you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Or will you play with him as with a bird? Or will you bind him for your maidens? Will the traders bargain over him? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons? Or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hand on him. Remember the battle. You will not do it again. Behold, your expectation is false. Will you be laid low even at the sight of him? No one is so fierce that he dares to arouse him. Who then is he that can stand before me? Who has given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his orderly frame. Who can strip off his outer armor? Who can come within his double mail? Who can open the doors of his face? Around his teeth there is terror. His strong scales are his pride, shut up as with a tight seal. One is so near to the other that no air can come between them. They are joined to one another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezes flash forth light. His eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils smoke goes forth, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes forth from his mouth. In his neck lodges strength, and dismay leaps before him. The folds of his flesh are joined together, firm on him and immovable. His heart is as hard as stone, even as hard as a lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty fear. Because of the crashing, they are bewildered. The sword that reaches him cannot avail, nor the spear, the dart, or the javelin. He regards iron as straw. Bronze is as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned into stubble for him. Clubs are regarded as stubble. He laughs at the rattling of the javelin. His underparts are like sharp potsherds. He spreads out like a threshing sledge on the mire. He makes the depth boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a jar of ointment. Behind him, he makes a wake to shine. One would think the deep to be gray-haired. Nothing on earth is like him. One made without fear. He looks on everything that is high. He is king over all the sons of pride. Again, I've heard a lot of people use the same terms for him, for the Leviathan. And basically what it is, what happened to my notes here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So, they've said that Leviathan is an alligator. I could kind of see where you get some of those things. Like his skin is very hard to poke through. But his belly has nothing to do with potsherds. It's not sharp at all, right? When he rises up, nobody gets afraid of him, right? I mean, yeah, it might be terrifying a little bit if you happen to round a corner, because I've seen that kind of thing happen in Florida, and suddenly there's an alligator there. But it's not the scariest thing in the world. This does not seem to me to be an alligator. Just saying. All right, let's go on to 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul continues, I wish that you would bear with me in a little foolishness. But indeed, you are bearing with me. For I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy. For I betrothed you to one husband, so that to Christ I might present you as a pure virgin. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, your minds will be led astray from simplicity and purity, a devotion to Christ. For if one comes and preaches another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or you receive a different spirit which you have not received, or a different gospel which you have not accepted, you bear this beautifully. You're like, oh yeah, sure, bring it on in. Who's this other Jesus you have? Oh, he was a Native American, or he spent time with the Native Americans. Okay, cool. Yeah, he knows all about the angel Moroni. Awesome. Yeah, let's hear about this Jesus. Or, this Jesus, I get it now. Yeah. He's angry all the time. He might have opened the door for you to be able to achieve your salvation, but you have to pray to his mother that she would open her war chest of grace and plead with him so that he will forgive you for the sins you continually commit, because his sacrifice wasn't sufficient to cover all of your sins. It was only enough to cover some of them most of the time. I got you now. I got you. Don't worry. I understand this. That's what they were doing. Any old Jesus that people were throwing. So the Jesus you believe in, he's only a prophet, or he didn't really die, or he was hung not on a cross, but on a stake, or he swooned and didn't really die. Yeah, come on, let's talk about this Jesus as well. Tell me about this other God that you have. That's what they were doing. Any old person who said that they were coming to speak about Jesus, they were just letting it come in. For I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostles. But even if I have unskilled in speech, because again, that was one of the issues that they had with him. Oh, well, he's unskilled in speech. Have you seen the guy? He doesn't really have a commanding voice. When he speaks, he stammers a lot and has to re-say things quite a bit. And his eyes aren't very good. I mean, if this were the true, one of the true apostles of God, don't you think God would have chosen a better looking guy? Somebody who has better speech patterns, who you could more easily listen to? Isn't that what you want? You want an amazing orator, right? That's what God should have chosen. Therefore, ignore this Paul guy. He's not as good as we are, for we have these super apostles. By the way, there's a certain amount of money you have to pay us for showing up and talking to you. This is literally what they were doing. So Paul continues, I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostles. But even if I am unskilled in speech, yet I am not so in knowledge. In fact, in every way we have made this evident to you in all things. Or did I commit a sin in humbling myself so that you might be exalted? Because I preached the gospel of God to you without charge? I robbed other churches by taking wages from them to serve you, clearly, if that's what happened. And when I was present with you and was in need, I was not a burden to anyone. For when the brethren came from Macedonia, they fully supplied my need. And in everything, I kept myself from being a burden to you and will continue to do so. Don't you worry. As the truth of Christ is in me, this boasting of mine will not be stopped in the regions of Achaia. Why? Because I do not love you? God knows I do. But what I am doing, I will continue to do so that I may cut off opportunity from those who desire an opportunity to be regarded just as we were in the matter about which they were boasting. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. If you're looking for an oh snap moment, that was it. Therefore, it is not surprising if his servants, so he's now calling them out as servants of Satan, also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, whose end will be according to their deeds. Again, I say, let no one think of me as foolish. But if you do, receive me even as foolish, so that I also may boast a little. It's like, oh, these guys are boastful about what they've done? All right. What am I saying? Am I not saying as the Lord would, but as in foolishness, in this confidence of boasting? Since many boast according to the flesh, okay, I will boast also. For you, being so wise, so much sarcasm, love it, tolerate the foolish gladly. For you tolerate it if anyone enslaves you. Anyone devours you, anyone takes advantage of you, anyone exalts himself, anyone hits you in the face. You're like, oh, please bring it on. To my shame, I must say that we have been weak by comparison. We didn't bother trying to enslave you. Oh, man. Brought you back under that law? Dang, we should have done that. Completely missed that. No, we were just preaching the gospel and Jesus the Christ. Man, missed opportunities right there. But in whatever respect anyone else is bold, I speak in foolishness. I am just as bold myself. It's like, all right, you want to play this game? See who's the better apostle? Sweet. Let's do that. Are they Hebrews? Hold up. So am I. Are they Israelites? Oh, so am I. Are they descendants of Abraham? Oh, well, so am I. Look at my lineage. Straight back all the way to Abraham, just like they are. Are they servants of Christ? Oh, I speak as if I'm insane. So just so you know, I'm being sarcastic here. That's what he's saying. I more so. In far more labors, in far more imprisonments, beaten times without number, often in danger of death. Can they boast of the same? 5 times I received from the Jews 39 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. This is a passing thing when he says this. You get stoned to death. They don't hurl stones at you until they get tired or walk away. They continue hurling stones at you until you cease breathing and you are laying there as a corpse. This is in the middle of his statement that he just happens to mention, oh yeah, and there was that time I died. And again, being stoned is one of the worst possible ways to be killed because people are hurling large stones at you, breaking your bones, breaking your fingers, breaking your face, because their intent is to kill you with these stones. These aren't like little pea gravel. They're big stones that they're throwing at you. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have spent in the deep. I've been on frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, danger from robbers, danger from my countrymen, dangers from the Gentiles, dangers in the city, dangers in the wilderness, dangers on the sea, and dangers among false brethren. I have been in labor and hardship, through many sleepless nights, in hunger and thirst, often without food, in cold and exposure. Apart from such external things, there is a daily pressure on me of concern of all the churches that he planted. Who is weak without my being weak? Who is led into sin without my intense concern? If I have to boast, I will boast of what pertains to my weakness. The God and Father of the Lord Jesus, he who is blessed forever, knows that I am not lying. In Damascus, the ethnarch under Artaris the king was guarding the city of the Damascenes in order to seize me. And I was let down in a basket through a window in the wall, and so escaped his hands. Tomorrow he goes into more detail. Because he's like, okay, hold on. These guys want to boast about all of their great things that they've done. Cool. Let me tell you about what it's really like to be an apostle. Let me tell you about the real struggles that are happening here. They're boasting about how people laud after them after their flowing speech and how much people love hearing what they have to say. Let me show you the truth of the matter. That's exactly what he's doing. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. So behold, the word of the Lord.